Alright, what's going on, guys? Today I'll be breaking down the NBA slate for Tuesday, March 21st. We've got an 8-game slate on for this Tuesday. A nice little 8-game slate for Tuesday. Tuesdays usually are smaller slates, but nice 8 games on for today. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, starting off at point guard. Your top point guard on today's slate is Seth Curry. He doesn't get that great of a matchup against the Mavericks. The Mavericks play at a very slow pace. And like I've been saying earlier, I'm not going to be playing Curry on Yahoo until his price decreases. At $53, he has to get you almost 60 fantasy points to return value on that salary. And it's not very likely that he does that, especially not in this slow-paced matchup. So I'm not going to be playing Curry today, especially not on Yahoo. He's way too expensive. Under him, you got Chris Paul against the Lakers. I definitely think if you want to pay up for point guard, Chris Paul is definitely in play. I'm not a big fan of that price tag at $44, but given this matchup against the Lakers, he can definitely get you 40 to 50 fantasy points in this matchup. So CP3 is 100% in play. Even with that price tag, he can still pay that off in this matchup. The Lakers are one of the worst defensive teams, and they play at a very fast pace. So I do like Chris Paul. For $2 cheaper, you got Damian Lillard against the Bucks. I'm probably not going to be playing Lillard on this slate. If I'm attacking that price range, I would just try and find $2 to get to Chris Paul. So I don't think I'm going to be on Dame. And the Bucks have actually been pretty solid against the point guard this year, so I'm not going to be on Dame. I would much rather have CP3 for just $2 more. At the mid-range, you got Mike Conley against New Orleans. This is a pretty solid matchup for Conley. New Orleans struggles against the point guard, but I'm not a big fan of his price tag at $36. I think that's a little bit expensive. If I'm attacking that price range, I would just much rather have Ricky Rubio for $1 cheaper against San Antonio. If there's one spot you can attack San Antonio, it's in the backcourt. They really struggle against guards. Tony Parker and Danny Green are not very good defenders. And Rubio has been very consistent as of late. In his last 5 games, he's put up 34, 57, 39, 32, and 34 fantasy points. He is a little expensive at $35. I don't really like that price tag, but with the way Rubio's been playing, he can definitely pay that off. And I feel like people aren't going to play Rubio on this slate. He's probably going to be low owned because people will see San Antonio and they'll shy away from him, but San Antonio does struggle against the point guard, so Ricky Rubio is definitely in play, even at $35. I think he can get you at least 30 fantasy points with upside of upwards to 50, so I definitely like Rubio on the slate. But the point guard I'm probably going to be targeting is for $2 cheaper, and that's Goran Dragic against the Suns. This is going to be a revenge game for Dragic. He used to play for the Suns, so he'll probably come out with a little bit extra fire going up against his former team. And I really like Dragic on this slate. Dion Waiters is currently out indefinitely, so Dragic is really going to have to step up and do a lot more offensively. In his first game without Waiters, he played 38 minutes and put up 30 fantasy points. He did shoot 6 for 22 in that game, so he really struggled from the field, but he still managed to put up 30 fantasy points. So if Dragic's shots fall in, he can definitely get you 40 in this matchup against the Suns. They really struggle defensively, and this is going to be a very fast-paced game. For the Heat, this is going to be an up-and-pace game. So I really like Dragic on this slate. I think he is way too cheap at $33. I think he can get you at least 40 fantasy points in this matchup against Phoenix. So I'm really liking Goran Dragic on this slate. He's probably going to be the point guard that I target. For $3 cheaper, you got Jrue Holiday against Memphis. Doubt I'm going to be playing Holiday on this slate. I like that price tag at $30. That's pretty cheap, but I'm just going to be trying to find the $3 and get a Dragic. I think Dragic is the point guard you want to target on this slate. D'Angelo Russell against the Clippers, not going to be playing Russell. He's really took a hit in minutes and usage ever since he started to play off the bench. I'm not going to be targeting Russell, not at $29, especially not in this matchup against the Clippers. He's going to be going up against CP3, and CP3 is a really good defender, so I'm not going to be on Russell. At the mid-range, you got Reggie Jackson against Brooklyn. I do like Jackson in this matchup for tournaments. I wouldn't use him in cash games just because he is a little inconsistent. But he does have 30 to 40 point upside in this matchup. So Reggie Jackson is definitely a mid-range point guard you want to target for tournaments. But I wouldn't use him in cash. He's just way too inconsistent. He could definitely lay a dud, but given this matchup against the Nets, he does have really good upside. So I do like Reggie Jackson for tournaments. Rajon Rondo against Toronto. I really like Rondo on the cheaper end. He is way too cheap on Yahoo at only $18. And given this matchup against Toronto, Cory Joseph is not a good defender. I think Rondo can get you at least 25 fantasy points in this matchup. So he is definitely worth a look, especially on Yahoo. He is way too cheap at $18. He has been a little inconsistent lately, but when Rondo's going, he can put up at least 30 to 40 fantasy points. And in this good matchup, I think he can do that. So I do like Rondo on the cheaper end. Also like Jordan Clarkson at that same price tag. Clarkson has been playing very well as of late ever since they moved him into the starting lineup. He's been playing over 35 to close to 40 minutes just about every night. Don't really like this matchup against the Clippers, but with Clarkson's $18 price tag, he only has to get you about 25 fantasy points to return value, and he can definitely do that even in a bad matchup. With the amount of minutes Clarkson plays, he can easily get you 25 to 30 fantasy points, which is good for his price, so he is definitely worth a look on the cheaper end. And the point guard I would target on the cheaper end is Tyler Ulis against Miami. Eric Bledsoe has been shut down for the season, so Ulis is going to be the starting point guard for the rest of the season for the Suns. And Devin Booker is also questionable for this game, so if Booker misses, that's just even better for Ulis. He's just going to have to do a lot more offensively. Ever since he's moved into the starting lineup, he's playing almost 40 minutes just about every night, and he is way too cheap on Yahoo at $15. He only has to get about 25 fantasy points to return value, and he can definitely do that now that he's moved into the starting lineup, and with the amount of minutes he's playing. I don't see a scenario where Ulis gets less than 30 today. So he is definitely a terrific value play on Yahoo. He is way too cheap. I'm not sure what his price is on other sites, but I'm locking him in on Yahoo at only $15. That's way too cheap for him. So he's a must-play for me if you play on Yahoo today. Also on the cheaper end, I do like Cory Joseph against the Bulls. The Bulls have really struggled defensively against the point guard lately, and Joseph is very cheap on Yahoo at only $14, and he's also been very consistent lately. In his last 3 games, he's put up 24, 25, and 29 fantasy points, and he's played over 30 minutes in all 3 of those games. So Joseph is definitely worth a look as well on the cheaper end. He only has to get about 25 fantasy points to pay off that price tag, and he can definitely do that given the matchup against the Bulls. Like I said, they really struggle against the point guard, so Cory Joseph is definitely in play as well for value. I think he can return value on his cheap salary, so I like him. And yeah, that's pretty much it for point guard. Let's go ahead and move on to shooting guard. All right, your top shooting guard on this slate is Jimmy Butler. He doesn't get that great of a matchup against the Raptors. They're pretty solid against the shooting guard. DeMar DeRozan's a pretty solid defender. So I'm probably not going to be playing Butler today, especially not on Yahoo. He is way too expensive in my opinion at $48. To return value on that salary, he has to get you at least 50 fantasy points, and he hasn't been doing that lately. So I'm definitely not going to be playing Jimmy Butler today, specifically on Yahoo. Now, if his price is cheap on other sites, then I like him, but won't be playing him on Yahoo. He's way too expensive. I do like DeMar DeRozan against Chicago. DeRozan is pretty cheap on Yahoo at $42. His price has dropped a little bit, but he has been a little inconsistent lately. He hasn't been returning value on that salary, but I definitely think he can get you 40 fantasy points in this matchup against the Bulls. They're not that good defensively against the shooting guard, so if you want to pay up for shooting guard, DeRozan is definitely in play. I think he can get you close to 40 fantasy points today, so I do like DeRozan if you want to pay up. CJ McCollum against Milwaukee. I like this matchup for McCollum. Milwaukee's not that good defensively against the shooting guard, and McCollum has been playing pretty well as of late. In his last 5 games, he's put up 39, 14, 38, 42, and 31 fantasy points. So he has been pretty consistent as well. And he's very cheap on Yahoo at only $33. He only has to get about 35 fantasy points to return value on that salary. And I definitely think he can do that in this matchup against the Bucks. So I do like McCollum on this slate. I think he is in play. For $1 cheaper, you got Klay Thompson against Dallas. I'm not going to be on Thompson on this slate. Not in this slow-paced matchup. If I'm attacking that price range, I would much rather have McCollum for just $1 more. So I'm not going to be on Thompson. Like I said earlier, Devin Booker is questionable for this game against Miami. If he does play, I do like him at only $30. With Eric Bledsoe out of the lineup, Booker's really had to step up offensively. And Miami really struggles against the shooting guard. So if Booker does play, I definitely like him. Even at $30, I do think he can return value on that salary. He only has to get about 35 fantasy points to pay off that price tag, and he can do that against Miami. They struggle against the shooting guard, so I do like Booker. If he plays, he is questionable right now, so be sure to take note of that. Seth Curry against Golden State. I like Curry in this matchup. He's going to be going up against his brother. But as you can see, Curry has been really struggling lately. In his last 5 games, he's put up 9, 12, 25, 9, and 9 fantasy points. And he's still been getting over 30 minutes just about every game. So I'm not going to be playing Curry at $26, especially not for cash games. Now, he is worth a look for tournaments. Going up against his brother, he might come out shooting a little bit more. I would imagine that they guard each other, so Curry is definitely worth a look in tournaments. For cash games, I don't think it's very likely that he returns value on that salary, so I don't like Curry for cash, but he is someone to target in tournaments. Going up against his brother, he might come out trying to shoot a little bit more, get in his head a little bit, so I do like Curry for tournaments, but I wouldn't use him in cash just by the way he's been playing lately. And then if you need some value at shooting guard, I do like J.J. Redick against the Lakers. Redick is very cheap on Yahoo at only $12. With the way Redick has been playing lately, he is way underpriced. And given this matchup as well against the Lakers, they really struggle defensively, and this is going to be an up-and-pace matchup. Redick only has to get about 20 to 25 fantasy points to pay off that price tag. And in this up-and-pace matchup against the Lakers, I think it's very likely that he can do that. So I definitely like J.J. Redick if you need some value at the shooting guard position. I think he's a pretty solid value play on this slate. He is way too cheap given this matchup and with the way Redick has been playing lately, so I do like him for value. And at the minimum price, I do like Denzel Valentine against the Raptors. Ever since Dwayne Wade got hurt and has been out for the season, Valentine has really had to step up and play heavy minutes. He's getting just about at least 27 minutes a night. He's actually been playing very well lately. In his last 5 games, he's put up 15, 20, 27, 19, and 34 fantasy points. Like I said, he is the minimum price on Yahoo. He only has to get about 20 fantasy points to return value on that salary. And he has been doing that lately, so Valentine is definitely worth the look. Now that D-Wade's out for the season, he's going to be getting minutes. He's going to get at least 25 minutes just about every night. So I do like Denzel Valentine on this slate. If you need some value at the shooting guard position, I think he's worth a look. I think he can pay off his price tag in this matchup. So I do like Denzel Valentine for value. And yeah, that's pretty much it for shooting guard. Let's go ahead and move on to small forward. Your top small forward on this slate is Kawhi Leonard. He doesn't get that great of a matchup against Minnesota. They're pretty solid against the small forward. And I'm definitely not going to be playing Leonard on Yahoo. He is way too expensive at $50. Now that LaMarcus Aldridge has come back, Leonard's really took a hit. And I'm not going to be playing him at that expensive price tag with LMA back. So I'm definitely not going to be on Leonard. If he is cheap on other sites, I like him, but won't be playing him on Yahoo, not at $50. Andrew Wiggins in that same matchup against San Antonio. I'm not going to be on Wiggins. His price has dropped to $34 because he was a little inconsistent lately. But I'm still not going to be playing him even with the reduced price tag, especially not against San Antonio. Going up against Kawhi Leonard, I think Wiggins is really going to struggle today. So I'm not going to be on him. I don't think he is in play. At the mid-range, I really like Khris Middleton against Portland. Portland really struggles defensively against a small forward. Middleton is a little expensive at $26, but he has been playing pretty consistent ball lately. In his last 5 games, he's put up 26, 21, 27, 32, and 18 fantasy points. And he has been getting pretty heavy minutes as well. So Middleton is definitely worth a look at the mid-range. This is a really good matchup against Portland. Like I said, they really struggle against a small forward. So I do like Middleton on this slate. But the guy I'm probably going to be targeting is T.J. Warren against Miami. Miami really struggles against a small forward. And TJ's really had to step up with Devin Booker out and with Eric Bledsoe done for the season. Warren's playing really heavy minutes. He's playing almost 40 minutes just about every night. And he's been playing really well lately as well. In his last 5 games, he's put up 28, 22, 41, 38, and 34 fantasy points. And he is way underpriced on Yahoo at $24. I'm probably going to be locking Warren in at the small forward position on Yahoo today. I think he is way too cheap. He only has to get about 30 fantasy points to pay off that price tag. And he can easily do that given this matchup against Miami and how many minutes Warren's going to get. So I really like him at the mid-range. He is definitely going to be the small forward that I target on this slate. And if you need some value at small forward, I do like Brandon Ingram against the Clippers. Ingram's pretty cheap on Yahoo at only $14. He's been playing very well lately. With that $14 price tag, he only has to get about 25 fantasy points to pay off that price tag. And he's been doing that lately. In his last 5 games, he's put up 24, 19, 28, 23, and 27 fantasy points. And Ingram's playing close to 40 minutes just about every night. I don't really like this matchup against the Clippers. They're pretty solid against the small forward. But with the amount of minutes Ingram's going to play, he's definitely worth a look on the cheaper end, especially with that cheap price tag. With him getting 40 minutes, I don't see how he doesn't pay off that price tag. So I do like Ingram if you need some value at small forward. And I also like Shabazz Muhammad against San Antonio. Shabazz will come off the bench, so he's not going to have to deal with Kawhi defense. So I really like him at the minimum price. With Bielitsa out for the season, Muhammad's really had to step up. In his last 3 games, he's played 31, 27, and 23 minutes and put up 28, 18, and 30 fantasy points. As long as he gets about 20 minutes, which he should get at least 20 minutes in this matchup, he's definitely worth a look at the minimum price. He only has to get about 20 fantasy points to pay off that price tag, and he can definitely do that against San Antonio. Muhammad will be going up against the second unit, so I really like this matchup for him, especially with that minimum price tag. So I do like him for value. I think he is in play And yeah, that's pretty much it for small forward. Let's go and move on to power forward. All right, your top power forward on the slate is Anthony Davis. He gets a really bad matchup against the Grizzlies. They're really good defensively, and they play at a very slow pace. I'm not going to be playing AD on this slate, especially not at $55. He is very expensive, and this is also a very bad matchup, so I don't think AD is in play. You got Giannis against Portland. I do like Giannis in this matchup if he plays. Yahoo currently has him listed as a game-time decision. He is expected to play, though, so I do like Giannis in this matchup against the Trailblazers. They really struggle defensively against the power forward. Giannis has been struggling lately. He hasn't been paying off his price tag, but I do think he can bounce back today. This is a really good matchup. Like I said, Portland is not good defensively against the power forward, so I do like Giannis if you want to pay up. I also like Blake Griffin against the Lakers. Blake's price has dropped to $41, which is pretty cheap for him. He only has to get about 45 fantasy points to return value on that price tag, and he can definitely do that in a matchup against the Lakers. They really struggle defensively, and they play at a very fast pace. So if you want to pay up for power forward, I definitely think Blake is in play. For $1 cheaper, you got Draymond against Dallas. I'm not going to be playing Draymond on this slate, especially not in this slow-paced matchup against the Mavericks. If I'm attacking that price range, I would much rather have Blake for just $1 more, so I'm not going to be on Draymond. Julius Randle against the Clippers. This isn't a great matchup going up against Blake Griffin, but Randle is very cheap at only $30. He's been playing very well lately. He only has to get about 30 to 35 fantasy points to pay off that price tag. I definitely think he can do that. So I do like Randle at the mid-range. I think he is in play. He is way too cheap on Yahoo at only $30. I also like LaMarcus Aldridge at only $27. He is also very underpriced, and he gets a pretty solid matchup against Minnesota. They aren't that good defensively against the power forward. Like I said, Aldridge is very underpriced. With that $27 price tag, he only has to get about 30 fantasy points to return value. And as you can see, he's been doing that lately. In his last 5 games, he's put up 26, 24, 33, 37, and 32 fantasy points. So Aldridge is definitely worth a look at the mid-range. He's probably going to be the power forward that I target on this slate. I think he's way underpriced on Yahoo at only $27. For $1 cheaper, you got Harrison Barnes going up against his former team in the Warriors. Barnes played for the Warriors last year, so he might come out with a little bit of extra fire today going up against his former team. Barnes is definitely worth a look on this slate at only $26. I think he is also in play. I do like him for tournaments as well in this game. You know, going up against his former team, he might come out, take a little bit more extra shots. So I do like Barnes for tournaments. But for cash games, if I'm attacking that price range, I would much rather have Aldridge for $1 more. But I definitely think Barnes is worth a look in tournaments. On the cheaper end, I really like James Johnson against Phoenix. With Dion Waiters out indefinitely, Johnson's really had to step up and play a lot more minutes. And he's been playing very well lately. He's had to step up and score the ball a lot more. And now with Waiters out, he's seeing just about 30 minutes a night. And this is a really good matchup against Phoenix. And what Johnson is also very cheap on Yahoo at only $20. He only has to get about 25 fantasy points to return value on that price tag. And given this matchup against Phoenix, I definitely think he can do that. They really struggle defensively against the power forward. So if I'm attacking the mid-range at power forward, James Johnson would definitely be a guy I would target. Given this matchup against Phoenix, I think he can easily pay off that $20 price tag. So I'm really liking him at the mid-range. If you're attacking the mid-range at power forward, he would definitely be a guy I target. If you need some value at power forward, I do like Nikola Mirotic against Toronto. Along with Denzel Valentine, Mirotic has also had to really step up and play heavy minutes. With D-Wade out, Mirotic is playing just about 30 minutes a night. His last game was a really bad game against Utah. He only played 17 minutes and put up 9 fantasy points. But that was a very bad matchup for him. The Jazz are very good defensively. I definitely think he can bounce back today against the Raptors and get you close to 25 fantasy points. So he is definitely worth a look on the cheaper end. He's very cheap on Yahoo at only $13. I think he can easily pay off that price tag. So I do like Mirotic if you need some value at power forward. And I also like Marquese Chriss against Miami. Miami isn't that good defensively against the power forward. And Chriss is very cheap on Yahoo at only $11. He's been playing very well lately. In Chris's last 5 games, he's put up 21, 16, 40, 29, and 25 fantasy points. So Chriss has been very consistent lately. So he is definitely worth a look at only $11. He only has to get about 20 to 25 fantasy points to return value on that price tag. And I definitely think he can do that today. So I do like Marquese Chriss. If you need some value at power forward, I think he is in play. And yeah, that's pretty much it for power forward. Let's go ahead and move on to center. All right, your top center on this slate is DeMarcus Cousins. He gets a really bad matchup against the Grizzlies. They're really good defensively against the center. Marc Gasol is a very good defender. I'm not going to be playing Cousins on this slate, especially not at $52. I think that's way too expensive for this matchup. So I don't think Boogie's in play. If you want to pay up for center, I would much rather have Karl-Anthony Towns for $2 cheaper going up against San Antonio. San Antonio isn't that good defensively against the center, and I do really like Cat in this matchup. I think he can get you at least 40 to 45 fantasy points in this matchup. Like I said, you can definitely attack San Antonio at the center position. They really struggle to defend centers. So I really like Karl-Anthony Towns on the slate if you want to pay up at center. I would much rather have him over Boogie. So I really like Cat on the slate if you want to pay up. I think he is definitely in play. I think he can get you at least 40 to 45 fantasy points in this matchup. That game should be a very competitive game. The Timberwolves are playing at home, so I do like this game to stay close. And I think Cat can easily get you 40 to 45 fantasy points, so I do like him. Also like Hassan Whiteside at home against the Suns. With Tyson Chandler getting shut down for the season, the Suns have really struggled to defend centers. There's no way they're going to be able to stop Whiteside today, so if you want to pay up for center, I also really like Hassan Whiteside, especially at $37. That is very cheap for him on Yahoo. He should be able to dominate against the Suns. There's nobody on that roster that's going to be able to stop him. So I'm really liking Whiteside. I think he can get you at least 35 to 40 fantasy points in this matchup. So he is also in play if you want to pay up for center. I'm really liking Whiteside on the slate. But the guy I really like for $7 cheaper is Andre Drummond against Brooklyn. Drummond is very cheap on Yahoo at only $30. He's been crushing value lately. And given the matchup against Brooklyn, they really struggle to rebound. Brook Lopez is not a good rebounder, and Drummond is one of the best rebounders in the league. I think Drummond's going to dominate the glass in this game. I think he's going to get you at least 15 to 20 rebounds. This could be one of those games where Drummond goes off for 20 and 20, gets 20 points, 20 rebounds, especially at $30. I think Drummond's a terrific play on Yahoo. There's no way he doesn't pay out that price tag. This game is in Brooklyn, so it should be a close game, should be a competitive game. So I'm really liking Andre Drummond on this slate. I think he goes off against Brooklyn. They're not going to be able to stop him on the glass. I think he can get you at least 15 to 20 rebounds, get you at least 15 to 20 points, get you that double-double. So I really like Andre Drummond on this slate. He's going to be the center that I probably play. At that same price tag, you got Marc Gasol going up against New Orleans. I do like Gasol as well, but I'm probably going to take Drummond over him. Him and Gasol are the same price. Gasol doesn't get that good of a matchup against the Pelicans. Now that they have Boogie, they're pretty solid against the center. I would much rather have Drummond going up against Brooklyn. So I'm not going to be on Gasol, but he is very cheap. But I would much rather have Drummond at that same price tag. He just gets a way better matchup. At the mid-range, I do like Jusuf Nurkic against Milwaukee. Milwaukee really struggles to defend the center, and Nurkic has been playing very well lately. And he's also very cheap on Yahoo at only $27. He only has to get about 30 fantasy points to pay off that price tag. And he has been doing that lately. Like I said, he has been playing very well. In his last 3 games, he's put up 36, 41, and 41 fantasy points. So Nurkic is definitely worth a look at the mid-range. I'm really liking his price tag. If you don't want to pay up for center, you can definitely target him. At that same price tag, you got DeAndre Jordan against the Lakers. Really like DJ as well on this slate. I definitely think this is a slate where you're playing 2 centers. There's a lot of good centers on this slate. DJ is very underpriced on Yahoo at $27. He only has to get about 30 fantasy points to pay off that price tag. And he can easily do that against the Lakers. If this game stays close, I think DeAndre is going to get you at least 40 fantasy points. But the Lakers have been playing very bad lately, so I don't think this game's going to stay close. I think the Clippers are going to blow him out. But even if DeAndre only plays 3 quarters, he can still get you 30 fantasy points. So he is also worth a look at the mid-range. I think he is in play. For $2 cheaper, you got Brook Lopez going against Detroit. I also like Lopez. Detroit really struggles against the center. Andre Drummond is not that good of a defender. I doubt I'm going to be playing Lopez on this slate, though. I would probably take DeAndre or Nurkic for just $2 cheaper. But if Lopez is cheap on other sites, then I really like him in this matchup. As you can see, he has been very consistent lately. He's put up over 30 fantasy points in 5 straight games. So Lopez is definitely worth a look at the mid-range. But on Yahoo, I would much rather take DeAndre or Nurkic for just $2 more. But if Lopez is a lot cheaper on other sites, then I'm really liking him as well. And if you need some value at center, I do like Ivica Zubac against the Clippers. This isn't a great matchup for Zubac. The Clippers are pretty solid against the center. But the Clippers usually have one big on the floor at all times. So I feel like Zubac's going to have to play heavy minutes in this matchup. And he is very cheap on Yahoo at only $13. He only has to get about 20 to 25 fantasy points to pay off that price tag. And I definitely think he can do that even in this bad matchup. I'm not sure what Zubac's price is on other sites, but he's definitely worth a look on Yahoo at only $13. I think he can easily return value on that price tag. I don't really like the matchup though, so if Zubac is kind of expensive on other sites, I probably wouldn't play him. But on Yahoo, I do like him at only $13. I think he can easily return value on that salary. So I like Zubac on Yahoo for value. I think he is in play. And yeah, that's pretty much it for centers. I'm going ahead and give you guys my starting five for tonight. Alright guys, so this is my starting five for today's slate on Tuesday, March 21st. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section on this video or hit me up on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT, and I'll be sure to answer your question. If you want my full updated lineup before lock, then follow me on Twitter and send me a DM, and I'll get you a lineup. Whether you play on Yahoo, FanDuel, or DraftKings, I give out lineups for those three sites. So hit me up on Twitter if you want to get my lineups. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Please be sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed. If you never want to miss out on a video, then please be sure to click the bell icon next to my YouTube name, and you'll get a notification every time I upload. So if you never want to miss out on a video, then please be sure to do that. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Good luck tonight.